In Remix is this online IDE, and as you can see, we have workspaces. So workspaces is like categories where you can group different types of work, like contracts, scripts, tests, and other type of files. We are gonna create a new workspace, and let's call it Introduction to Solidity. Okay, as you can see, you have now the default workspace and the Introduction to Solidity workspace. Okay, so let's clean a bit. Let's remove all these files that we don't really need. We delete and we delete. And here in the contracts folder, let's delete this, also this one, and let's stay with the storage. So here in Remix, we have a smart contract, and you can identify the smart contract because we have the extension .sol. So here, this is the editor area. Here we can type and modify the contract. Okay, then we have that terminal or command output area. Here we can execute commands actually, but also all the things that we do, like deploying the smart contract, can be shown here. All the results can be shown here. We can clean it. Okay, now Remix works thanks to some plugins. Everything in Remix is a plugin. So for instance, for Solidity, this is the compiler. If you see, we have Solidity compiler, and also we have this deploy and run transactions. These two tabs represent plugins, okay? Solidity compiler and deploy and run transaction. The deploy and run transactions is part of the Remix engine, and it can be disabled. However, the Solidity compiler can be disabled. You can deactivate it by clicking here, and if you see, the compiler disappear. Now, to activate it again, we say activate, and then we have the Solidity compiler plugin enabled or active. Okay, now we can select different compiler versions if we want to. This is good for testing. Sometimes different contracts are deployed with a specific Solidity version, and what we need to do is to test that particular contract, and it's easier here to simply select the version and paste the code. Okay, we can select a different language. In this case, we are only interested in Solidity, and then you can specify an EVM version. We select the default, and also you can say here that you want this to auto-compile. When we do that, every time the code editor changes, it's gonna compile automatically without the need to click this button. Okay, so let's say we change here. Now we put number 2, and let's see, the compiler is a bit stuck because it doesn't recognize what is happening. So let's click again, and as you can see, there is an error. Let's fix the issue, and let's click compile again, and now you can see that it's working. Okay, now we had the deploy and run transactions, which is the other plugin that is part of the Remix engine. And here we can select different environments. By default, there is a JavaScript virtual machine that is running in the browser. And then we have some test accounts that we can use just to deploy to this JavaScript virtual machine that is living in the browser. So basically we can execute all the contracts directly in the browser and get a similar behavior as we would have in mainnet. Obviously this is a simulation environment and we would expect to get the same results, but you need to consider that the conditions in mainnet might be different. Okay? Let's say we want to deploy the contract. We simply say deploy. And as you can see, when I deploy the contract, a new deploy contract instance appears here.